Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over the new update, and I know that I am a bit late, but there's a lot going around, and it's very odd to me because it seems that I have a top 5 meta character currently that I'm using, and I'm using him better than every single content creator that's made a video on him, and I'm using the CTP on him that every single content creator has told me not to use on him. But instead, right, I'm using him as a decoy because he's useful as a decoy. I'm using him as a leadership because his leadership is applying to all allies when it's not supposed to. And I can do things like this. I can kill Commander's Wolverine when he's dealing, and I can kill him with a destruction because I actually know the rotation to use on Deadpool, unlike Commander, who says, oh, this character who's top 5 because 20 metas are banned, let me go and put the best CTP on him so he can kill 1.5 meta in a triple meta. Okay, and then fight one Colossus team with Warlock and barely get a win, okay? This is why people like Cynic Alex could have a 3-minute matchup with Warlock, and then people will say how great and how meta Deadpool is, when he's not. He's like maybe top 7, and there's many arguments to be made as to why he's top 7. First of all, you take him into timeline battle, and then you say that he's not good in there. So that's already a chunk of PvP that he's not going to be even 5th choice in, even 6th choice in. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, he has no super guard break on any of his skills, except maybe his counter under the trigger. His counter not under the trigger does 1 hit. So it's essentially useless. It could easily be interrupted as well. Yes, all I did was stand there to get away from Deadpool's counter. It's very easy to avoid. I could kill Deadpool with a full tier 4 and a brilliant conquest in 1 life. I can kill the best Deadpool in the game, arguably, with a Deadpool at level 80 with a PvE-ish CTP. The CTP that everybody said wouldn't work on him. Why? Because I actually know a rotation. Did Commander give a rotation? No. Did Free-to-Play Adventures give a rotation? No. But he wanted to claim that Deadpool was top 4 meta. Let me ask you a question. Can Deadpool kill all of the meta at least once with a rage? No. And nobody would want to put a rage on him to test that. But I have plenty of tests of a Madeline Pryor killing all of the meta, including Thanos, who Deadpool arguably cannot kill with a rage. So does that mean Madeline Pryor is better than Deadpool? Well, arguably, but Deadpool is a speed, right? Yeah, but Deadpool gives 10 seconds of debuff removal technically to himself, while Madeline Pryor gives 12 seconds of debuff removal to all allies. Because of debuff removal, I'm able to solo an entire team with Wolverine, who is undeniably top 5. Undeniably top 4 even. Okay? Meanwhile, you have Deadpool here, who's good at taking damage. Even with destruction, he's good at taking damage. Now, in this team, against this team, he was good as a dealer. If I put him in later on in the match, he gets his counter negated in multiple different ways. So in the beginning, he can execute his counter right away like he did there. But, you know, if you're going to try to rely on him to get a triple meta kill or, you know, kill an entire team by himself, The only way that Deadpool can even be considered meta is if all of the actual top 5 meta are debuffed right away after the first week. I mean, here, look, you're going to see all of Deadpool's counters in one matchup. And guess what? Deadpool's not going to make it out of here. And I have him in the middle as a third place, and his counter already got negated. He's getting countered by toons like Hulk, who are not even in top 20 PvP. How can he be top 6 or 7 PvP if his counters are combats that are 2 years old that are in top 12 to 20 in PvP? Here, he was the only one that died. Thanos and Spider-Man do not have revives, and he was the only one that died. Okay? He's not meta in Otherworld Battle either. You can fight him in AC, but AC is not timeline battle. So, in AC, you'll see teams like Sentry, Colossus, and like Quicksilver. In Timeline Battle, you'll see Sentry, Colossus, and Thanos. Okay? And Deadpool cannot kill that Sentry or that Thanos at all. And if his lead gets fixed and he doesn't apply debuff removal to all allies anymore, that also means that he cannot be a leadership in a team. So that also means that he will be further reduced in his utility. And he doesn't have enough damage when you give him a defensive conquest, and he doesn't have enough defense when you give him an offensive greed. So, what's the best course of action? You think the best course of action for this character is to give him a brilliant conquest? Really? At tier 4? To try to take on Vibranium meta, whose Sentry hasn't been banned in 3 months? Really? Whereas I'm killing the best, right? And I have a rotation 5, 4, 2 in the middle of Sentry's 5th. It could work. It's not going to work all the time, but it could work under a greed Sentry. It's not going to work under a conquest Sentry. But look, Deadpool gives me debuff removal for Wolverine, so I could solo with Wolverine, right? I'm the only team that has Deadpool and Wolverine without Sentry in the same team in Vibranium, and I could still beat every single team. I don't need a conquest like everybody keeps telling me. I could just use him with utility because I don't need to tier 4 a character because he's like perceived as top 6 meta kind of by Commander. Okay? I could use the character better than Commander with a build that Commander doesn't recommend because I actually test the toon and his power level properly. Look, I got a kill against a Sentry that's better than Commander Sentry by 10 because he already has Colossus. And yeah, Deadpool cannot kill the meta next to him. But guess what? That's okay. That can't make him meta, but that doesn't mean that he's bad either. You could be a top 7 meta and cut it in all of PvP, not just AC Otherworld Battle, where in Otherworld Battle, 20 meta are debuffed, and in AC, they're not as strong. So, I'm using a level 80 Deadpool to kill all of the meta, just so long as I have Wolverine alongside him to solo. And y'all don't know that, because y'all don't know that Deadpool's lead is bugged. So Deadpool's lead being bugged makes him relevant. And if it makes him relevant, it makes him more meta. But you're overinflating him. You're overinflating a character with a bugged lead and the exact same kit as Doctor Doom. The only difference is that Doctor Doom is more expensive. That's the only difference. To kill meta with Doom compared to with Deadpool, I use almost the exact same rotation. The difference is that with Doom, I have a Mighty Transcendence. With Deadpool, I have a Mighty Destruction. I need a proc to make Deadpool kill proper meta in a proper setting. But then Commander will test a Brilliant Conquest, Deadpool, spend 2 minutes killing a Warlock, and I can kill the same Warlock or better with a 1 rotation. 1. On top of that, did you see Commander or any other content creator testing against Deadpool's tier 4 with the best build that they could possibly have? No, he didn't do that either. So here, I'm studying Carl's Deadpool. I'm losing to him. Carl has a brilliant greed. And my Adam is personally struggling. I don't have any kind of support on him except insight. I don't have greed on him. I have an energy, so his damage relies on a proc, right? And I have Doom next to him. So the only 2 characters that could possibly kill this Deadpool are Doom and Adam. And I'm going to do it with an Adam and a Doom that's barely built. I just avoided Deadpool's best skill. And Deadpool's best skill, base, couldn't kill me. Oh, so Carl's Deadpool has a greed. That's kind of interesting. Even still, this greed was impossible to kill. Impossible. Like, very difficult with a blast. Like Adam. But I just killed him with Dr. Doom. How does that make sense? Dr. Doom is barely categorized in top 10. But Deadpool's counter is Doom? How? How does this make any sense? Deadpool's counter is Titan Hulk. Deadpool's counter is a 12th place Carnage with Egg. How can this make sense? How could he be top 5, let alone barely top 7? I'm struggling to kill a Conquest Warlock with him with a proc and type advantage. I need a whole rotation to kill this Warlock. Okay? And I know the exact rotation. Or I can just say fuck it and kill him with Wolverine. Because Wolverine could solo a team with Supergiant. I don't need to pair him with Deadpool to win. I need to pair him with Colossus to win. But if you pair Deadpool with Colossus, that's not a guarantee that he's going to win. Okay? So that's the lack of testing that many content creators have done already. And they've categorized them in all kinds of different places. When his basic counter is a top 5 or a top 3 meta in Wolverine. He cannot be in top 5 if his counter is within top 5. Look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a complete counter to any Warlock, but he is in like 9th place because he doesn't have a revive. But Spider-Man does more damage overall in a shorter time period than Deadpool. I can make a case that Spider-Man is better than Deadpool. Because Spider-Man has invisibility, so he actually dodges skills and he avoids them too. So on top of that, Deadpool's decreased damage received is 25%. So you've got Madeline Pryor, who's 40% and has around the same amount of heal, killing Thanos's with brilliant rage, and Deadpool is out here not able to kill a brilliant Conquest Thanos with 2 supports and a brilliant Conquest. He can't do it, okay? He's arguably being compared to Silver Surfer and who's better. And Silver Surfer is a cheat code. He's a cheat code. He kills meta standing still with Reflect. On top of that, I killed Deadpool with my Silver Surfer in almost one life. I was very close to killing him in 1 life. And I also soloed this team as well. I soloed this team with Silver Surfer. I could have killed him with Hulk if I wanted to. because Deadpool can't kill Hulk. Even with a greed, he would have to get very, very lucky to kill my Hulk. Okay? On top of that, he gives 10 seconds of debuff removal. Jean and Madeline Pryor give 12 seconds of debuff removal. This is already way more valuable. On top of that, Jean is killing meta with rage. She is. She's killing meta with rage. So I can make the case that Jean could be better than Deadpool. But since people are satisfied with Deadpool's placement, but they can't seem to get the best out of him in a whole fraction of PvP, that's where I come in to teach you. Because Commander's going to clickbait you and say that he's top 5. Well, he's not in standalone. Well, he is when everybody's banned. Well, he still isn't. But I'm going to say he's top 7, and I'm going to give 30 minutes of testing that's proper, and I'm killing the best. I'm not killing myself with my own team with a triple meta that I know that Deadpool can have an advantage against, because he has no advantage with Colossus teams, which he also fails to test against. I'm about to kill him in 1 life with Jean Grey. 1 life. And you could say manual all you want, but I just did it with Jean with a rage with no support. I killed a PvP meta with a PvE meta. That's an outdated PvP meta. And I killed him in 1 life on my 2nd try. I just killed a Conquest Warlock with Quicksilver in 3 skills, and I did it twice, consistent, and Deadpool needs 4 skills to maybe execute. Maybe execute the kill with a proc too. So, y'all are recommending Conquest for me when I'm doing better with a Mighty Destruction at 80? How does that work? How does that work? How am I able to completely be competitive in top 20 Vibranium where he completely lacks any kind of efficiency, but yet I'm using him better than all of you that say that he sucks in timeline battle? That's a little odd to me. And I'm also placing him lower than you guys are saying. So you guys are testing him, giving Deadpool some sort of like advantage. Like you're saying, oh, Deadpool, look how much meta he's killing. Yeah, but you don't take into effect an entire support in Colossus. You don't take into effect that he has a brilliant Conquest, which is the best CTP in PvP. It's the best. And it's brand new. So content creators are recommending new players to get a brand new CTP at full with a full tier 4 Deadpool, and they can't even kill proper Vibranium teams with a PvE CTP. Isn't that a little bit crazy? And then meanwhile, I'm going to have to defend my point that Deadpool's not top 5 to a bunch of people that just say, oh, this content creator says this, so I don't have to test. I can just say this, and then you're wrong because I don't know who you are, Marine Velvet. I've never heard of you. So whatever you say is whatever to me, even though I'm making the best out of Deadpool. I have him better than PvE than any freaking Conquest Deadpool in PvP, and I'm better than any Conquest Deadpool in PvP because I'm one of the only ones that's rocking him in Vibranium at level 80. Y'all are making really weird reviews. Really, really strange. Picking up where I left off, you know, you got content creators like Anas Gaming who also want to say in their title of the thumbnail that Wolverine is bad for PvP with his new uniform. Oh man, that's hysterical. Wolverine's new uniform is actually stronger than his old uniform by a lot. His 5th in particular, and his ability to cancel 3 and 4 into 5 also is very efficient in killing meta outside of Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is his main counter, and also if you're not able to kill the best conquest sentry, you're not going to one-shot him with the 5th. And if you don't one-shot him with the 5th, you will get caught in his second 5th skill, which will kill you. And there I evaded it because I removed his buffs. But there are many cases where sentry's under debuff removal and I cannot evade the penetration that's coming from that 5th skill. And the 3rd skill is a partial iframe that only occurs at the end. So he's less evasive, which is why his new uniform is actually not better than his old one. However, his new one does more damage. So you could absolutely still rock Wolverine in PvP with a new uniform and arguably with a PvE CTP, and he will probably still be better than Deadpool. By every single metric. Every single metric. Now, what's different also about X-Deaths is that, X-Deaths is very evasive and it still potentially one-shots under debuffs. So the only difference is that the new uniform can one-shot just regularly. Whereas X-Deaths, you will eventually get one-shot. Even if it's not the first time, it'll be the second time. So yeah, with X-Deaths, even though it takes a couple of more rotations to kill the meta, it's still arguably better. Right? So there are some flaws to both uniforms, but you could still rock both of them, and they are still arguably top 5 PvP uniforms for that character, respectively, right? There are not a lot of counters to Wolverine. There are not a lot. You can maybe argue Doom is a counter, for example, but, we're talking about like maybe 10, 15, maybe 20, maybe 30 counters. As you get higher into the meta, right? Like when I was saying 30 counters, I meant for Doom. Like there's a plenty of counters for Doom. For Wolverine, there's not a lot. There's really not a lot, especially for X-Deaths. There's not a lot. And when he gets super guard break immunity and debuff removal, he's basically unstoppable, right? Like, let's analyze the top 5 tunes for PvP for a second, right? Sentry broke the game with 4 out of 5 of his skills having super guard break, or maybe 3 out of 5 skills. That's still a lot. On top of that, they're all iframes. On top of that, he has a revive, he has a lot of heal, and he has conquest. He's undeniably number 1, even despite Reflect being his primary counter. Silver Surfer. Number 2, Reflect counter God, tier 3 soloing all teams with Hulk next to him, with a mighty conquest, not even brilliant. Most of these meta, you have to rock a brilliant conquest, right? To get the best out of them. Nice Deadpool kill at level 70. This is a level 70 playthrough, right? But Silver Surfer is his counter because he has to use multiple skills and then he has to trigger Silver Surfer's 5th so he can do his counter, but his counter by itself is not strong enough. But anyway, I was talking about the meta, right? So you have Sentry and Silver Surfer, and you have Thanos. Thanos could subjectively be in anywhere in the top 5. He could be number 3 and you can make a case. He could be number 4 or number 5 and you can make a case. Because one-on-one, Thanos is unkillable under debuff removal and steel. And he also has like native debuff cleanse on his first, and he has ignore iframes every 3 seconds, and he has multiple skills that he can cancel. So he has really game-breaking mechanics. Wolverine, game-breaking mechanics galore. Wolverine has super guard break immunity on his 5th skill and under debuff removal. Wolverine has a one-shot skill that he can reset because the skill is 8 seconds or 7 seconds. It can reset every like 10 seconds. So he's constantly one-shotting you, right? He has very good defense. He has extreme heal, and under Agreed, he one-shots even his counter, which is an Adam Warlock. And Adam Warlock was number 1 in PvP for a year, still being the only toon that could have an additional ignore iframe skill when you cancel an ignore iframe that's also a counter and also a one-shot off the trigger. You don't even have to trigger the counter for it to one-shot you. Deadpool, his counter is Dr. Doom, and his counter is weak. It cannot kill a basic toon by itself. It needs to be canceled with other skills, or you have to go through 50 rotations against a super conquest versus a super conquest and pray to the Lord, right? Like, the top 5 meta are unkillable machines. When Commander reviewed Madeline Pryor without a uniform was killing the top 1 in PvP at the time, Adam Warlock. She was breaking the game mechanics, having a counter that one-shots and half-shots when it's not triggered. So, she is killing meta with a rage, like I keep saying. And she's a counter to Wolverine, a native counter. Granted, she's a blast, so speeds are her counter, but she has a revive to compensate for that. Deadpool is the only speed with a revive, so that gives him an advantage over speeds. I would say that he could arguably be the best in his class in PvP. That doesn't mean he's top 5 meta. Top 5 meta are game-breaking. Wolverine is game-breaking. His 5th skill on his new uniform is game-breaking. His 5th skill on his old uniform is game-breaking. These skills are unpenetrable. You cannot avoid them unless you know exactly how to. And it's usually when it's not under debuff removal, right? So you get a uniform that performs well in PvE now too. This new uniform for Wolverine is very much hybrid now, and it can rock PvE and PvP. So if you decide you wanted to rock Wolverine for PvE, you can do that. And then on top of that, you could have Agreed and get like 12 or 13 million in ABX with the new uniform, and then one-shot a Thanos very easily. That's using the character fully. That's how you use a hybrid character properly. And the exact same thing could apply with both Doctor Doom and Deadpool. More so with Deadpool, because Deadpool has a PvE uniform. So he's the best in his class in PvE. So I don't know why anybody would think that making Deadpool full PvP would get the best out of the character, when you can get the best out of the character hybrid. Just like you can get the best out of Wolverine hybrid. And if Greed is considered hybrid for you, that's okay. If you want to maybe rock a Destruction or an Energy on Wolverine, I still think he would be top 5 in PvP with the new uniform. And you would get the best out of him PvE. I think that makes the most sense as a responsible content creator. Like, I'm not trying to promote an agenda. I'm not promoting an agenda for my favorite character. I'm telling you the 100% truth about the character, and I'm also showcasing that to you. Even though me saying that Deadpool's lead is glitched, for example, is prohibiting me. It doesn't matter if it prohibits me. Just like it doesn't matter if I rock this team in Vibranium Timeline Battle, the most competitive league ever, and I'll lose like almost twice the amount of times that I win. It doesn't matter because I'm still in the top. And I'm doing it with a team that is impossible to use, according to the content creators, that says also that a character is meta. Well, also content creators say that this toon right here, Wolverine, is not meta in PvP when he absolutely is and always will be for a very long time to come. It's just, this is what I've wanted from Netmarble, is to make balanced, versatile characters. Deadpool does have some balance, and he's not meta, but this is okay. There needs to be more balance in the game. There needs to be less power creep that negates a bunch of new characters from competing, and there needs to be more balance. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, I will always try to make unorthodox characters work. And I've been doing it with Doom and with Deadpool, despite what content creators have been both saying and suggesting. And I really think that you could do it too. Maybe if you watch this video, you can get the best out of Deadpool in both worlds. You could get the best out of the character in a utility standpoint, not just a power level standpoint, and a very subjective power level standpoint at that. Okay? Be careful about who you build, because these characters cost some money or could potentially cost some money at the end of the day. So you want to use them to your maximum efficiency so you don't get disappointed. And this is why I got this channel here. You know, I try to set up people to use these types of teams. I want people to use these types of teams. I want people to change the way they look at timeline battle. Anyway, let me give a rotation for Wolverine. So usually it's just his 5, but for example, against Thanos, I used 3, 4, and 2 under penetration, and it killed the opponent. Like in a triple meta, it killed that Thanos as soon as I landed on the 2. So Wolverine does have efficiency on his second skill, but it's his only iframe that's outside of his 5th skill. So I would say his old uni is better, but they are both meta for PvP, and they are undeniably meta. They are not arguably meta. These distinctions are important when you're paying to win. Anyway, that's pretty much an overview of what I had to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care. See you in the next one.